want to show you, here I am sitting here with the bees coming in and visiting the plant. And the fact of the matter is they are so focused on collecting nectar and pollen that they're not going to bother a human. And I don't know if it's going to show up, but can you see his little pollen baskets? Or excuse me, her little pollen baskets, because they're female bees. All the worker bees are female bees. That's how I know. Their pollen baskets are just full of the pollen from this plant, and they're very orange. Very orange pollen, and oh, the fragrance is delightful. The flowers themselves have a distinct fragrance to them, and it's very, I find it quite pleasing. It's a little musky. Some people don't like musky fragrance flowers, whatever. The thing about Brittlebush, it's one of the more easily transplanted plants in the Southwest. These were at another place on our land, and we were doing some digging. So I basically moved them over here into this soil that I did nothing to other than dig a hole. And I plopped them in, and I gave them a little water, and they grew right up. So I'm sitting here, they're at least 3, maybe even 4 feet tall. I guess more like 3. Things about Brittlebush, other than the glorious fragrance, is the name of Brittlebush. Encelia farinosa. And farinose is the same word farina or flour comes from. The leaves are very flowery in the sense of the flour that you use for baking. They have this coating on them, and this gray coating helps them reflect the sunlight so they can stand being out here in full sun out in the desert. Now this particular one I'm sitting next to is doing better than some of the other ones I transplanted, and I think it's because he's got this ocotillo here in the west side, providing him just a little bit of shade in the afternoon in the summer. So it's a pretty plant, and I want to say that Brittlebush is indeed brittle. And I'm going to break off a stem, and it breaks very easily. I say that compared to some things, right? And the thing about Brittlebush, okay, I'm going to take this inside and put it in a vase now too, by the way, and save it. But, oh, look at that. Brittlebush, it's brittle. You can actually take like a razor blade and make a sharp cut in the stem, along the stem, not around the stem. And if it's still on the bush, the sap that oozes out will dry into basically a resin that is then used to be used to for like sticking arrows together, the arrowheads on arrow shafts. The other thing that this is good for is as a toothbrush. So the native peoples once were noted for having very good teeth by the Europeans. You know, they'd write it in their back home. It's like, not only are they friendly people, they have good teeth, which kind of said something about Europe at the time. But one of the uses for Brittlebush is to brush your teeth. And so you take this and you chew on it a little bit, and you just use it, you rub over your teeth and your gum. And the first time you do it, you go, poof, that's an interesting flavor. And then it's gotten to the point where I really like the flavor. I find it quite refreshing. I prefer it over mint toothpaste. So you can use this for a toothbrush. Great when you're camping. Oh, I can see that there's a little tiny spider on this guy. So one of the things I'm gonna do is tap it. Yep, he fell off. The mealiness, by the way, is not just on the leaves, it's also on the stem. And if I rub it, you know, part of the problem with doing these videos in bright sun is that I can't really see what happened. Anyway, so I can't see the screen. So here's the mealy stem, and here's, once I've rubbed it, you can see the undercoating better. Now, something I noticed as I was starting to talk to you about this, there's some missing flowers. And I lay that on the straight at the bunnies. Okay, so they'll hop along and they'll eat a flower because, of course, there's nectar in it, so it's tasty and sweet. And you can only eat so many of these. It's not a regular diet, even if you're a bunny. This is why this plant looks so good. This is why the javelina don't eat it. We're sitting out in the unfenced portion of the yard, and the javelina wander through here all the time. So if you have javelina and bunnies, they don't eat the plant itself. They may nibble on a few flowers, but this is a good desert plant for a place where the critters can get out and chew on your landscape. The interesting thing about this, I'm not sure if the video will show you, I have here a irrigation hose, and I turn this on once a week in the summer, and recently, because we had such a dry winter, I also turned it on, and you can see there's kind of a flush of bloom, and then if you look real carefully, there's a lot of new little buds coming on. So the plant said, oh hey, let's see up here. See, here's all the new little buds coming on. Here's the older flowers. So the newer buds are going to grow up tall. And the plant responds very quickly to added water. So if, perchance, I went away for 3 months and the irrigation system broke down, the plant would slowly take all its nutrients and everything back into its roots, and it might end up looking like just a dead mass of sticks in the landscape. But Brittlebush will surprise you. Add water, wait a little bit, and it will respond. You would really have to leave it without any water, including from the sky, for at least a year before you can really kill it. So that said, please don't abuse your plants. Go ahead and give them water, especially if you want flowers like this to delight your eye in your landscape. So Encelia or Brittlebush, just a nice plant for the landscape. Thanks for watching.